What's up, you guys? My name is Nick, and welcome to my channel where I cover all things entertainment. Whatever you're watching, I'm making videos about. Guess what time it is? It's time for me to complain about Netflix. Yay! If you're new here, I'm gonna go over the best stuff leaving Netflix in the US in the month of August, but I will have a link in the description box for an article that lists everything in case you want to go over it yourself. I've done, I would say, a pretty good job of eliminating the first level of garbage, but there's still a lot of garbage to go over. I've got my list, I've got my wine, we're gonna do this, let's get into it. On the first, we lose UK teen drama Skins, and bummer, you're not gonna have time to binge all 8 seasons of this show, but it is really good, so if you do see it pop up on some other streaming service, I would highly recommend giving it a shot. On the third, we lose Love, a Gaspar Noé French film that seems to be an erotic drama about some lovers having sex. That really seems to be it. I find this interesting. This movie actually popped up in the Netflix top 10 of movies recently, so, you know, I guess people are watching porn on Netflix. On the 7th, we lose Judy Moody in the Not Bummer Summer, a kids movie starring Heather Graham that does look like a total bummer. And we also lose Saint Agatha, a horror film from the director of Saw 2 and 3 that is about a woman who goes to a strange convent with a dark secret. I just wonder what could happen there. On the 14th, we lose Adventures in Public School, a coming-of-age dramedy about a homeschooled kid who goes into public school and falls for a disabled girl, and sounds terrible, but Judy Greer is in it. Goon is a comedy starring Seann William Scott as a soft-hearted but heavy-hitting bouncer who turns into a hockey player to help a struggling team by using his skills of kicking ass. He helps make this team go from zero to hero, and you know what? I really enjoy this. It's a really funny movie. Seann William Scott gives a very earnest performance in it. He's very adorable, and it just has like some good jokes and situational comedy. It's just overall good. Goon is good. On the 18th, we lose Mexican horror thriller The Incident, a movie that follows two groups of people in these two endless spaces of time. Sounds interesting, but I've never heard of this. On the 18th, Some Kind of Beautiful will be leaving. This is a romantic comedy about a professor who knocks up one of his students and then falls in love with her sister. I mean, wow, could you get worse than that? But I mean, it stars Pierce Brosnan, Jessica Alba, and Salma Hayek. I truly have no idea what to make of this one. On the 20th, we lose Bad Rap, a documentary featuring Awkwafina as one of 4 Asian American rappers trying to make it in the music industry. On the 21st, we lose Just Go With It, an Adam Sandler comedy where he plays a man pretending to be a divorced family man in order to get a hot chick to fall in love with him. I'm sure it works out really well. On the 23rd, we are losing a very direct-to-Netflix looking stalker movie, Fanatic, which is about a rapper who hooks up with a fan, but then she flips out on him and kidnaps him. I mean, this sounds like my kind of garbage, but it's TV-14. You know it doesn't get good. On the 25th, we lose one of my favorite gems on Netflix, and that is Blue is the Warmest Color. This is a 3-hour-long French lesbian epic with a bunch of pornographic scenes in it, so I know you all can't wait to watch it. This is one of the best coming-of-age stories wrapped up in one of the best love stories, wrapped up in one of the best LGBTQ movies that I just have seen, I think, ever. So I know that there are going to be plenty of detractors for you. There's plenty to not like in this movie, but it really is one of my all-time favorites. So if you're open to it, I would definitely suggest giving this one a go while it's conveniently available on Netflix. May I just note that 365 Days has been a movie that's been doing really well on Netflix lately for some reason, and now they're losing Love and Blue is the Warmest Color. I mean, clearly Netflix, you need more porn. That's the lesson of today, kids. On the 28th, we lose Bring It On Cheer Smack. I'm sure one of the best movies I've never seen. I'm not even gonna try and figure out whatever this one's about. I was a big fan of the original Bring It On, but as soon as we get to Cheer Smack, I'm sorry, have you ever in your times on this earth ever needed to cheer smack someone? I would love to hear your stories in the comments below. Also on the 20th, we lose The Wicker Man, one of my favorite movies on Netflix. I included this in my best horror on Netflix video recently. It was #1. That video is spoiled now, but who cares? It doesn't matter. The Wicker Man is so good. I'm just gonna keep talking about it. It is about a man who heads to this island England looking for a missing girl, but he ends up sucked into this plot developed by this cult, and oh, I just love cult stuff. If you loved Midsummer, you have to watch The Wicker Man. In fact, hey, that's a fun double feature. I mean, fun if you like, you know, horrifying torture and stuff. Okay, we have made it to the real list, folks. Everything from here on out is leaving on the 31st, so you've got all month to catch up on all of these good things, and maybe even some of the bad ones too. The Wicker Man is not the only horror classic leaving. Also, Candyman will be gone, which is really unfortunate because we're gonna be getting that sequel at some time in time, and I think a lot of people really need to watch the original. I just think this is one that a lot of horror fans really appreciate, but it's kind of slipped under the radar, and you know what? You gotta pay attention to the original before you see the new one. Child's Play is another slasher classic that we're losing. I shouldn't have to explain this killer doll movie to you. You probably know plenty about it, or you'd never want to see it again, because creepy dolls, I hear you, but this one is on most other streaming services. Child's Play is all over the place. You can find it elsewhere. Don't worry about it. Bad Boys 1 and 2 are also leaving at the end of the month, which of course I just included them in my summer movies on Netflix list. Of course, goodbye Bad Boys. Speaking of movies that I mentioned in recent videos that will be gone, thanks Netflix, you're making it real fun. Clueless is one of my favorite teen comedies ever, and of course, because I just spoke about it, I'm just gonna keep moving on, but watch Clueless. You gotta watch Clueless. Groundhog Day is the quintessential time loop movie, so if you happen to get sucked into movies like Palm Springs or Happy Death Day, you gotta watch the original. Hello, I'm your YouTube grandpa. I'm like, watch the original. Rugrats Go Wild is the animated mashup of the Rugrats and Wild Thornberrys TV shows, which were my favorites as a kid, yet I never watched Rugrats Go Wild. Someone convinced me to drink 3 bottles of wine and watch it. Jerry Maguire is another quintessential 90s movie that has to be seen. It stars Tom Cruise as a corporate a-hole who learns to chill the hell out and fall in love with Renee Zellweger. I cannot stand Tom Cruise, but I still love this movie. That is just how good it is. The Karate Kid 1 through 3, all 3 Karate Kid movies, gonna be gone. I also spoke about those in that summer movies video. You should watch that. It's a video. He's Just Not That Into You is the romantic comedy for everyone. It stars the who's who cast of romantic comedy stars in a movie where, you know, people realize the dude just really isn't into you, and also still has the romantic comedy ending we all hope for. Perfect. One Day is a romantic drama starring Anne Hathaway and Jim Sturgis as 2 lovers who meet up on the same day every year. And if anyone has seen this, you know, I'm not going to spoil it. I don't want to say anything, but this movie has one of the most unintentionally hilarious moments in movies. I remember seeing this in theaters with a friend, and there's a very tragic scene that happens, and I laugh so hard still even thinking about it. It feels like a scene out of a Final Destination movie just thrown in a Notebook ripoff. United 93 is a dark drama tackling the events of September 11th, 2001, and one of the planes that was hijacked by terrorists. And this is a movie that, on one hand, I'm like, I feel like it makes sense that it exists, and that's okay, but I never want to watch it again. Get Him to the Greek is the quasi-sequel to Forgetting Sarah Marshall that stars Jonah Hill as a man who has to get rock star Aldous Snow to a venue on time to play a show, and they have a wacky, wild adventure with all kinds of drugs and craziness along the way. This isn't the best, but I just love Forgetting Sarah Marshall so much that it's kind of fun to return to that world with these characters. And, you know, it's got Rose Byrne giving one of her best comedic performances, so if there's a reason you need to watch it, it's Rose Byrne. V for Vendetta is an adaptation of an Alan Moore graphic novel that is set in an alternate authoritarian England where a vigilante is trying to take on the system. And this is a movie that has been incredibly popular for a very long time. And, you know, people would post every November, remember the 5th of November. And I think recently people have started to actually admit this movie's not that good. It's really not that good. I never really cared for it a whole bunch. The graphic novel, phenomenal. Seek it out if you can. But this movie, I don't know. I'm not going to say it's a must watch, but I will say thank you to the world for finally being honest. Failure to Launch is a romantic comedy starring Sarah Jessica Parker and Matthew McConaughey as a man in his middle age who is still living with his parents yet somehow gets a woman to fall in love with him. Is this a fantasy? The Lake House is a different kind of chick flick that stars Sandra Bullock and Keanu Reeves as two people who are falling in love through love letters they're leaving in this mailbox at this lake house, and it's like a love story told over these like parallel timelines, and it's just honestly doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Let me just take a moment to read you what the storyline is listed as on IMDb. Let me just take a moment to do that. When two people connect, the bond between them can be so pure and simple as to stir hearts in heaven. When they connect in all the right places at all the wrong times, heaven weeps for broken hearts. To heal these broken hearts, heaven breaks time. That's just not a synopsis. That's just factually not a storyline. That's not it. Also, this is the tagline. What if you found the one you were meant for, but you lived 2 years apart? I don't know, the Lake House. Why don't you tell me? Observe and Report is a hilarious dark comedy starring Seth Rogen as an overprotective mall cop trying to take down the local flasher while getting the makeup counter woman to fall in love with him. This is not a typical Seth Rogen movie. It's very dry and satirical, so know what you're getting yourself into. But I have to admit that I do think that this is actually an underrated comedy gem. Murder Party is an independent film from director Jeremy Saulnier, who would go on to do Blue Ruin and Green Room, and it follows a man who accepts an invitation to a random Halloween party, but when he gets there, he finds out that his hosts have invited him there to sacrifice him. Nothing like a dramatic tonal shift, Valentine's Day is basically another he's just not that into you type of film where there's a whole bunch of people playing a whole bunch of characters, and they're all finding love on Valentine's Day. Isn't that sweet? Tootsie is a comedy starring Dustin Hoffman as an actor who dresses up as a woman to get more parts and finds success as his alter ego Tootsie. I have no idea how well this movie holds up, but I would assume not very well. Public Enemies is a crime drama starring Johnny Depp as a bank robber and Christian Bale as the Fed trying to chase him down. This movie was actually pretty popular on Netflix recently. I know it was in the top 10 at least of the movies, so interesting, Netflix, how you can't manage to keep the stuff that people are actually watching. Interesting. Life as We Know It is a sappy dramedy starring Katherine Heigl and Josh Duhamel as a couple who must raise a baby when their friends suddenly die and they end up becoming guardians of their child. It's a Katherine Heigl movie. Lastly, School Days is a Spike Lee joint about an average guy pledging to a popular fraternity in college. That's the list, but you know I have to vent about Netflix because every time I do these videos, I just see more and more of the same stuff that I think Netflix was built on leaving. And that is, of course, chick flicks and dude movies. Sounds really simple, but that's exactly how it works. There's just something that keeps most people quite happy with the streaming service. But what's unfortunate to me is just that they keep pumping out these direct-to-TV looking movies like Fatal Affair, and they have the talent and the money to be making the next great Fatal Attraction, but they just settle for these cheap ripoffs, and then they can't even manage to keep the good stuff that they do have on their service. It's just really a bummer to me because I feel like there's gonna be the day when Netflix stops getting other titles because all of the studios are gonna have their own streaming services and Netflix is gonna be left with all of their originals. And I'm sorry, but you can only rewatch Stranger Things so many times within a sea of Fatal Affairs. It's like, Netflix, come on, can we maybe just make some good stuff? Like, that's what you used to be. What happened to you, Netflix? That's my rant, and it'll probably be the same thing next month, so watch out. But I want to put out a question to you guys. What is it that you love about Netflix? Because we all know it's just the #1 streaming service. Everyone loves it. And I'm curious to know why you specifically do. What is it that keeps you on Netflix? What is it that keeps it consistently your favorite? And what would have to happen, I think, for you to maybe consider getting rid of Netflix? I just find this interesting. I can't help but admit I'm more of an underdog guy. I'm looking out for Hulu and Amazon Prime and, you know, not Peacock. So let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. Let me know what your favorites are and what you're currently streaming. Thank you for watching this video. I greatly appreciate it as always. I hope everyone's having a great day, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a big thumbs up, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, whatever. That's it for this video, but I won't stop you from watching another.